Hi, my name is Nancy Garcia, and I propose to incorporate the following plans to achieve economic goals in the United States economy. I plan to grow the job market by reducing interest rates, spend on public works, spend on unemployment benefits, and also cut business payroll taxes for new hires. I would ask the Federal Reserve to lower the Fed funds rate in order to increase the money supply. Increasing money supply will increase liquidity and give banks more money to lend. Mortgage and other interest rates will decline, and cheaper credit means that consumers can borrow more and spend more. Purchasing more allows businesses to expand to meet increase in demand. Increased demand lets companies hire more workers, which gives them more purchasing power. I would spend on public works. The most cost-effective government spending is spent on building roads, bridges, and other public works. For every $1 billion spent on public works, it creates 19,975 jobs. The federal government just has to approve the construction projects that's already in the pipelines. Immediately, it puts people to work right away by hiring contractors and generating income for the states. I would spend on unemployment benefits. Spending on unemployment benefits creates jobs, 19,000 for every $1 billion, because the unemployed must use the allocated wages immediately for housing, groceries, and clothing. Retailers and manufacturers respond to the purchasing demand by hiring workers and creating additional jobs. The third most effective spending solution is education. For each $1 billion spent, it creates 17,687 jobs. I will cut business payroll taxes for new hires. Tax cuts creates jobs by allowing families and businesses to keep more of the money they earn, which allows them to spend more, which stimulates demand. Businesses use tax cut money to create more positions and hire more workers. Companies use tax savings in the following 4 ways, all which drive job growth. Reduce prices, increase employee wages, buy more supplies, and hire more workers directly. In order to improve GDP growth, I would reform the tax system, improve infrastructure, revitalize trade, and support low and middle income households. I will simplify the tax system, which would mean to lower the tax rates and have fewer exemptions. I would offer incentives to those entering the labor force, decrease income polarization, and support low and middle income households. I would increase revenue by raising federal consumption tax, carbon tax, and higher federal gas tax. I would improve infrastructure. Underinvestments in infrastructure has held back productivity in the private sector, long-term growth, and job creation for many, many years. A sizable increase in public spending such as maintenance, repairs, and new infrastructure projects will positively impact the economy and alleviate debt reduction. I will revitalize trade. The U.S. has so much to gain by keeping its markets open in order to pursue new or amended trade agreements. I would approve stalled trade agreements with Colombia, Panama, and South Korea as a way of generating employment. It would allow us to be more competitive in those countries by building our overseas markets. More jobs and more markets equals more job opportunities. I will support the most vulnerable, which are the low and middle income households, by improving educational opportunities and outcomes. I would offer affordable childcare support for low and middle income families, revamping paid medical leave, which will encourage and increase labor force, and increase federal minimum wages, along with expanding earned income tax credit and redesigning assistance programs are ways to improve the GDP growth. I would address income inequality by improving job quality, investing in human capital, tearing down systemic barriers, and making sure that the disabled have a fair shot at employment. I would improve job quality by raising the federal minimum wage to $20 an hour by 2025. I would rewrite the Paid Family Leave Act to ensure that all have job security upon returning. Employees need the right to request flexible and predictable schedules, and better training equals better trained employees. I would invest in human capital. College for all, where at least 75% of tuition is paid by federal funds for those attending public colleges or universities. Easily accessible apprenticeships opportunities for professional growth should be available. Subsidized job programs for those re-entering and transitioning back to the workforce, and offering employees high-quality, affordable child care or the option to work from home. I will tear down systemic barriers by lessening the gender gap within the labor force. Women will make as much as men. I would also make sure that companies are employing all races and will enforce Equal Employment Opportunity Act. I would also make sure that the disabled are employed if they wish. I would assure that the disabled have a fair shot at employment amongst the companies of their choice. They will create an inclusive working environment for disabled employees, and those companies will employ those who are willing and able to work, increasing the labor force. I would prevent future economic crisis by avoiding bailouts, housing finance reforms, and shrinking the banking sector. I would avoid bailouts by using the Darwinian evolutionary theory of survival of the fittest. Only the best will survive. I would stop bailing out the weak and let the strong thrive. Don't bail out, but buy out, and disallow failing companies to continue their irresponsible ways. I would offer housing finance reforms where we will preserve the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage for qualified buyers who can sustain homeownership. I will replace and restructure Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and reduce the level of government-backed mortgages. I will also better regulate banks and financial systems. I would also shrink the banking sector by eliminating untransparent accounting, connected lending, and illiquid collateral, by reducing the number of banks and reducing the risks associated with predatory practices. Given the opportunity to incorporate the following plans to achieve these economic goals, please rest assured that I will take my job and my position seriously and make sure that no financial crisis will be on this term.